Maybe some of you have noticed how when the mind is very simple, there is a sort of natural happiness. And that, have you noticed that? Have you felt that? The more simple the mind becomes, the more there is joy, lightness. If the mind is very complex, there is a lot of thinking, a lot of thoughts. It also loses a lot of energy. The simple reason why we feel blissful, why we feel good, when the mind is still, is then it gets charged. In that state of stillness, the mind is empowered, it is charged. We are filled up again. Whereas in a state of a lot of thoughts, wandering thoughts, lots of emotions, lots of ups and downs mentally, there is then a depletion of energy happening. So this is something to observe in your own daily life. The less you are caught up in the mind's turnings, the more energy you have, the more you feel awake and fresh, the more you are rested also. For me, it takes one meditation session and all the stress of the whole day is gone. Just sit down a little bit, like 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and all the stress is gone. And all I need to do is to do nothing. The less I do, the more I relax. The more I relax, the more I'm charged. It's really simple. And when you see that in your meditation session, when you're getting a little bit of an insight into that, you observe yourself maybe throughout a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, noticing how you're progressing, then it fires you up. It gives you kind of a joy to continue. You want to explore what's more to this. How much deeper does it get? How much more joy can there be? How much more blissful silence can there be? And so you naturally start to get this joy of exploring silence more and more. Then you don't have to force yourself for some weird discipline to stay silent or something, and you kind of find joy and pleasure in silence. There's then no force. You're simply enjoying to be quiet, to be physically quiet, to be mentally quiet. And for you, everything else becomes very much of a very fast sort of movement that is very stressful. As soon as we hang on to it, you're spinning around with it. That is perceived then as very stressful. There's not some sort of thought that we should cultivate and then kind of adapt as our own viewpoint, our own philosophy. Well, it is my philosophy that silence is superior to noise or something like that. But it is an experience. And it's a valid experience for all of us. All it takes is a little bit of training in the beginning to come to a point where the mind sinks down and relaxes. And there's less and less thinking, less and less verbalization, more and more happiness. So in order to simplify everything a little bit, the first thing that we do when we sit down is relaxing the body step by step. The second step then is letting go of future and past, letting go of time, arriving fully in this moment, being completely present. So for you then the question, when does the session end, how much longer, becomes non-existent. It simply doesn't matter anymore. Each time you connect to the sound or a feeling in the body, you're fully present. It's very simple. You can do that anywhere, anytime. There are always some sounds around. All you need to do is remember them. The word sati means, is often translated as mindfulness. Actually also the correct translation is recollection or remembrance. We're remembering an object. This is what mindfulness actually implies. We are remembering the sound, for example. We're remembering the present moment, as opposed to being completely lost in our stories. But the more you meditate, the more you become aware that we're mostly lost in the mental movies. I had movies going on the whole day, the whole night even. Might sit in the car and then just constantly talking about the destination, what you will say when you arrive, and you kind of imagine, I'm sorry I'm a bit late. And then you imagine the answer. And you imagine what you say back, but I've been stuck at Chalong Circle. But you totally forgot that you're in the car right now. That you're not even on the way, but that you're here, no? Does that make sense? That we are here. It's truth, isn't it? We are here. It's a complete illusion to be lost in the idea that we think we're going somewhere or we're coming from somewhere. That is the story that we keep telling ourselves. But that's not actual fact reality. Reality is now. Truth is now. Therefore, the thinking process is also called fabrication. The mind makes up. And when that making up of things, where I'm going, when that stops, there is happiness. It's kind of like, wow, surprise. So simple. Like when you're carrying a heavy bag and you're putting it down, it's like, wow, it feels good to put it down. You're not creating the good sensation in your arm. It comes naturally because you're letting go. So letting go is leading to happiness, is leading to joy. You're not becoming miserable by letting go. Some people, they think, well, if I'm letting go, then I'm losing this, I'm losing my friends, and I'm letting go of partying, and I'm letting go of this, and that's not really letting go. Letting go means, for example, abandoning that line of thought. Realizing, it's just thinking. Like when you're watching a movie and you get fully carried away, it's not why they shot him. Suddenly you realize, wait a second, it's not real. I'm sitting in front of a box. Is no one shot? No one is killed, no one died. But it has a power, it has a very strong influence, and your mind is giving you constant movies. Well, why did he say that? Why would he say something like that? Maybe I should ask him, but that would be rude. We are lost, we're totally lost in our movies, continuously lost. And it's so wholesome to become aware of that. It is a healing process to notice the illness. And the illness is not so much the thinking. The illness is rather that we are invested in thinking. The problem is not that there are movies. You cannot point your finger to the movie and say, it's the movie's fault that I'm absorbed in it. It doesn't really work that way, right? Even though the actors are cunning, they're very good, very skilled. The special effects, very good also. But there's someone getting absorbed in it. There's something getting absorbed in it. Something that completely forgets reality in that very moment. So you want to treat your mind a little bit like a movie. Makes it a bit easier to get a distance. Some people, they say, wow, I have an out-of-body experience. I was floating on top of my body and I see my body just down below, and then there was light, and I didn't want to go to the light just yet because I felt I had this job in my life to just finish, Why not have an out-of-mind experience, Why only out of body? Why not out of mind? What did you do yesterday? I've been out of my mind. Fantastic. It's great to be out of your mind. It's great to realize, down there, that's the mind. I've been falling for that the whole time. And it talks and talks and talks. But now you're realizing something. You're kind of like the guy in the cinema that's like suddenly realizing, he's like, oh, wow, I'm sitting in a room together with other people. Do that is actually quite fun. I do that always when I'm in the movies. I'm watching the movie, and then I'm also sometimes just realize that, wow, I'm with human beings in a room watching a flat screen, and I'm looking around at how the people are looking at flat screen, and then I'm looking at myself, how I look at the people. And then I feel that I'm not only in the room, but I'm like on this little planet, and zoom out more and more to kind of put a perspective to my situation. It's kind of fun. It's a lot of fun to get out and to realize, rather than to be involved and identified with what is going on in the mind or the body. So the Buddha found that a personality consists of 5 facets. There are 5 things that make up a person. Just 5 things. He calls them the 5 Khandas. A Khanda would be translated as a heap, the 5 heaps. So what are the 5 Khandas? The first Khanda is called Rupa Khanda. Rupa means form. Rupa is form. In Thai you call that Prabuddha Rup, which means the form of the Buddha. So Rupa is form. So form is everything that is made up of 4 elements of solidity, of earth, of fluidity or cohesiveness, which is water, of warmth, energy, which is fire, and of movement, which is wind. And these 4 elements, they are not 4 substances, but rather potentialities. So you have a glass of water, it contains warmth. It is solid too. It moves. If water doesn't move, if it turns to ice, then it's because the wind element becomes reduced and earth element becomes stronger. That's how things can change their state. If you cook the water, if you bring in more fire element, the wind element increases and it becomes steam. So everything that is matter is made or composed out of these 4 potentialities, the 4 elements. That's what form is. Here in meditative tradition, we always refer to the first Khanda as the body. This is the body, this is form. So that's the first aspect of us as a person, as a human being. There's the body, right? The body consists of bones, of hard stuff. That's the earth element. It consists of fluids. There are fluids in the body. These fluids, they're water element. Then you have warmth in the body. That's fire element. And you have wind in the body. That's breath and energy. Now the second Khanda is the Khanda of feeling, Vedana. So Vedana means feeling. But we're not talking about emotional feeling here. And we're not talking about tactile sensation. So very often the word feeling here, we think, okay, well, feeling, it does it mean like, well, today I'm feeling groggy, I'm feeling tired, is this feeling? Or what is feeling, right? Feeling is more the taste of an experience. That's what Vedana is. Every experience that you make every second has a certain taste, doesn't it? Like let's say you wake up next to your spouse in the morning and you smell their bad breath. There's an experience of smell. And the experience is unpleasant. Alright? Unpleasant. So this is the first Vedana. Unpleasant sensation. Unpleasant feeling. Then, your spouse is going to the bathroom, brushing teeth, you brush your teeth, you take a shower, you smell good, you give each other a good morning kiss. Your spouse tells you, I love you, I had a great dream of you today. Sound. Pleasant sound. So your experiencing is pleasant. Vedana again, it makes it appear pleasant. The same thing could be said and you go like, what do you mean you had a great dream about me? And you kind of become suspicious or something. Whatever it is. It can be the same thing that is said, I love you, in a different circumstance, and it leads to trouble. And that's due to Vedana, because the sound comes into your ears, and Vedana is giving it some spice. Vedana is like a cook. It adds the spice to the soup. You don't have just cooked water, but you have tom yum, or you have tom kha, or you have whatever, tom jud, like all these kind of Thai soups. They're different taste. Vedana is the taste in it. There are 3 types of taste only, makes it simple: pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. Vedana is a great thing to reflect upon. It's a great thing to dwell upon. You can sit down a long time and just stay and watch Vedana. You can just watch feeling. How the sound comes into your ear and how it turns ugly inside of your mind. How a smell comes into your nose and how it tastes fantastic inside of your mind, How things turn into things inside of your heart. How the world is transformed in your heart, in your mind. Someone that watches Vedana will watch, actually, that the real kind of experiencing of the world as we know it happens in there. Outside there is no good and no bad and no neutral. It is created by Vedana inside of our mind. The third khanda is called sanya. Sanya is perception, or also translated as memory or recall. It's something that means perception really is simple. So if I hold up this thing here, what is it? So now sanya is operating. You remember what you have learned. Remote control. Good, that's an A. You get an A. You can sit down again. Very good. Remote control. What is this? I don't know how to call it, in fact. How do you call it in English? Stick. It's a stick. Very good, Christian. Very good. So we know how to label things. So this is the act of sanya. We are able to identify something, label it, recognize it, because we have learned what it is, what you can do with it, right? That's sanya. It's the function of perception. The third khanda. Also, seeing someone as an idiot or seeing someone as a great guy, it's due to perception. It's our perception of that person. It's not actually an idiot. There's not actually a great guy. Our perception creates an idiot. Our perception creates a great guy. And why does it so? Because of Vedana. Guess who leads to the perception of great guy? Or someone that makes you feel great. Guess who leads to the perception of idiot? It's someone that gives you some sort of unpleasant Vedana. Right? We're that simple, actually. All happens in the heart. There's nothing happening outside. Outside there are just sounds, smells, tactile sensations, taste, and colors and shapes. That's it. The rest is happening in the mind. Like in the cinema, there's just colors and light and sound. The rest happens in the mind. Oh, Jack, and will he get her? Will he not? Oh, she's rejecting him. That's happening in here due to the way we have learned to watch. Now the fourth is called sankhara. Sankhara means fabrication, concoction, everything that is made up, that is concocted, brewed together. So sankhara is that very aspect of the mind which is producing, creating stuff. And it does that constantly. The voice in your head, that's sankhara. Creating intention is sankhara. So sankhara is a big part of our day-to-day experience. Your whole dreaming mind is sankhara because all the senses have shut down. Everything in the dream is sankhara. Oh, I'm here, I want to go over there. Wow, what a nice mountain. In fact, there is no mountain. There is sankhara going on. And it's so powerful, it completely deceives you the entire night. You wouldn't even question, am I dreaming? You know, usually the room doesn't look like that. Maybe I might dream about this room and there are a few elephants in there as well, and you know, zebras and giraffes outside, and I'm like, yeah, it's just normal. Maybe I might even teach the elephants, and the elephants are like, yeah, that makes sense. But I wouldn't question it. Sankhara is very powerful. We wouldn't question ourselves when we're looking at another person, thinking that this guy is an idiot. We don't question it. In fact, we're dreaming. We're dreaming up an idiot. We're also dreaming up the one who is interacting with an idiot. That's just how pervasive it is. It's very strong, very powerful. It makes us actually, you know, sankhara is the one that's responsible, that you have to lock your doors at night, that countries are threats to each other. Yes, like this. This is all sankhara. So the entire world is entirely made up of fabrications. The way we interact with each other is based on what you have learned, what's been put into your head from early childhood on up to now. That will just keep spinning around and around and around. All of you guys that you sit right here, all of you guys that are listening to this recording later on, you're incredibly fortunate that all your sankharas have brought you to this point where you are able to look back at the mind itself. That is a very rare thing in this world. Most people are looking this way, away from themselves. There's only very few people who are actually turning their eyes to the inside, looking back at the one who produces the world every minute, every second. The Buddha, in fact, when he reached enlightenment, he says this, house builder, I've seen you build houses. You shall build no more houses. And he refers to what as the house builder? Well, it is indeed sankhara producing the illusion of a self. And we get really attached to it. I am this, I am that, I need to go there. I think I'm a failure, maybe I'm good enough, I hope they accept me, and all that. Me all the time. The whole world turns around me. I'm in the room's around me. I'm looking at you, you are the others, I'm here. In the room there's only one me and, 20 others. And that me in the room with the 20 others is kind of the most important me. And that's the experience for all of us. We're all like little centers in the room that are most important. We're not recognizing all the other centers. That is sankhara too. We're kind of unable to step out of it. We're trapped in our own little bubble of fabrication. The fifth khanda is vijnana khanda. Vijnana means consciousness. And that's the simple aspect of the mind which is connecting with the senses and is allowing for experiencing. So here is how the whole thing works. How does suffering arise? How does stress arise? At first, you need to have one of the 6 senses meeting with its respective object. Like, for example, your ear needs to meet with sound. You need, however, a third thing that's there too for hearing to arise, and it is vijnana, it is consciousness at the ear. Otherwise, you're like a corpse that listens to music. There is no music for the corpse. You can play as much music as you want, the corpse doesn't hear it. You can pinch a corpse with a needle, no, it doesn't feel it. You can insult the corpse, no problem. There is no perception of sound. And there is no perception of sound because consciousness doesn't come to the ear. There's no consciousness. It's gone. So it's very important to have consciousness. Also at nighttime, most of our consciousness goes to the inside. It withdraws from the external senses and starts going into the dream. If someone calls your name, it takes a while to get through to you. It takes a while from consciousness to get back up to the ear again and connect so that there is a hearing. We call this coming together of these 3 aspects: the ear, the sound, and ear consciousness. We call it phassa, contact. That's the first step. There has to be contact. So what comes after contact? After contact there is Vedana, feeling. The contact appears either pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. So you hear a sound, the next thing that you know is, sound is great. Oh, wow, what's that? Nice. The spice is already inside. It's full of sugar. Sometimes the cook puts a lot of chili inside and it's like, oh my God, why would you say that? That happens very fast. Very rapid. You see something, it touches right with your sense, and immediately afterwards there's feeling to it. This is progressive. It is not at once, but it goes step by step. It's just our mindfulness is incredibly slow, like a slug. We just kind of figure out what happened after we already reacted. And then it takes another few hours for ourselves to realize, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Right? Because we're so slow, our mindfulness is so incredibly slow, so we have to train it to become faster. Like Lucky Luke. You know Lucky Luke? He's faster than his shadow. He's a cowboy. Like it was like a cartoon. Was it the Dalton brothers and Lucky Luke? Have a look, Google Lucky Luke, you can find it out. Lucky Luke. He draws faster than his shadow. He can actually shoot his shadow before the shadow can shoot him. You have to be fast like that, It's like really fast, super fast. Your mindfulness is always ready. You're always looking, what's happening next. And there is sound. I'll wait for it. It starts to feel pleasant. Already too much. It starts to feel unpleasant. Already too much. Your mindfulness is already slowly lost. Because the cook is really convincing. So you're already smelling it, So it smells like a good soup. Be careful right there. Don't just taste it. Stay out. Stay out. Stay back. And watch as the show goes on. So what's the next factor that happens after Vedana? After Vedana, so after there's contact and there's feeling, then we start clinging to the feeling. We start attaching to the feeling. We start grasping it. We're getting closer to it. So when, for example, the feeling is pleasant, Now then, what's the tendency? The tendency is to get involved with it. The tendency is to maintain it, to increase it. You all notice that inside, right? It's something very simple that happens to all of us. Pleasant sound. Can you turn up the volume? Put it on repeat. Can you say that again? I wish you would say that every day. But then imagine if that would actually happen. We turn the volume up, we put it on repeat, we hear it every day. What will happen? Does it get continuously nicer? No, of course not. Things change. They don't stay nice. That's the problem with nice things. They turn into the next problem. They turn into the next issue. Like phones. They always get better. I've seen this documentary. Pardon?
They create more problems.
They create more problems also, exactly, yeah. Exactly. I've seen this documentary where they went around on the street with the iPhone 1, showing it to people, telling them, this is the iPhone 7, it's the newest iPhone coming out. And everyone fell for it. Wow, it's so small, it's handy. Wow, and it's fast. Can you believe it? People were testing it out, iPhone 1, wow, it's faster than all the others, and it's so slim. Incredible. Yeah, and then they asked at the end, did Apple do it again? And they all say, yes, Apple did it again. That's how it works, You just sell something properly and we just buy it. Because it's like, wow, they said it's faster, it's a whatever blah blah processor. We don't have any clue what it means, but it must be good. And then a year later, it's kind of, it's outdated, it fell down a few times, it's like uninteresting. The first week you have it, it's just the most interesting thing ever. You just can't get your eyes off of it. But then slowly it becomes boring, so it ends up in your pocket more and more. Only on some occasions it comes out. But then there's something that keeps you busy with it. Always new apps, always updates, always better, but never actually better. It's never really better. It's an illusion that something actually gets better. Because there is no end. There's no end to that development. There is no linear A to B. There is no end, you see? There is no B. There is no A. There's just movement. Endless dissatisfaction. Created again every year. New dissatisfaction created. Basically, every advertisement that you see says, you should suffer because you're not having this. And because of your suffering, you need to get this. And when you have it, your suffering will end. Your stress will end. The times of pixely photos are over. This camera rules them all. The times of bad sound is over. This stereo rules them all. It's a delusion. It's an illusion that keeps us spinning around, but it doesn't really get better at all. It's just additional noise, unnecessary noise in our lives. It actually keeps us from happiness because it fills our heads with stuff that no one needs to know. And so we sit down and we're like, I'm wondering why I'm so kind of on edge, why I'm so nervous, why I can't relax. Meditation doesn't really seem to be the right thing for me because I'm so distracted. I can't meditate because I'm thinking too much. Where does all that come from? It comes from our lifestyle. It comes from the way we are training ourselves every day, what we do every day. We get up, what do we do next? How do we work? How do we talk? How do we interact? And then look at your meditation, and here is the reason why it either works or it doesn't. How about the base? What about your lifestyle? Are you fighting with people or arguing? Do you have remorse, regret, guilt? Do you feel shameful about yourself? Do you don't like yourself? Then how can you sit down on the mat enjoying yourself? It doesn't work. So you have to kind of clean up the room, clean up the act, create space and time for meditation. Then you sit down and start watching those 5 khandas in terms of contact. And then watch at the point of Vedana. Simply watch how you feel. Now there is some sound. What kind of sound is it? How does it appear? So keep watching. There's a feeling in the body, energy moving through the body. How does it appear? So you train the faculty of recollection, of mindfulness, to stay with Vedana. Stay with sensation in the present moment and watch. Beyond talking, in silence, just keep watching. And then you will notice something fascinating, that there is not one single thing that actually stays for even 1 second. But everything continuously buzzes, moves, like the way that I think Alan Watts is it, that says everything wiggles. Kind of a nice way to put it. Everything wiggles. Every atom continuously buzzes. And you can actually feel that if your mind becomes very quiet. So quiet that the whole world around you shakes and vibrates. You can feel. And then within that, as more quiet you become, the more clearly you can see a point where there is no motion inside. It's a very calm center. And then more and more you rest in that calmness, you rest in a calm center, and it carries over from your meditation practice into your day-to-day life. Until your day-to-day life appears as being something that runs through you, that runs through this calm space, like a dream. Whatever experience there is, whatever feeling is followed by it, it is clearly seen as something that changes. Just another wiggle, another buzzing. So we can remain detached and relaxed and at ease. And the thing is, in that detachment, for some people it has a negative connotation. If I'm detached from everything, then does it mean I'm not going to work anymore? Does it mean I'm not able to tell my partner I love you anymore because I'm detached? Not at all. But in that detachment there is great happiness, there is great bliss inside. It's a very good place to be. And it is a place in which you are naturally charged. Wherever you go, if you are fully present, and if you are abiding calmly in that presence, without any inner talk or commentary, then you are fulfilling what the Buddha suggests to one of his disciples. When seeing, just see. When hearing, just hear. When tasting, just taste. So here is a direct advice to stay with merely contact. Because obviously we cannot avoid that. So we're staying merely at the point of contact. And if your mindfulness is a little bit weak still, then stay with feeling. And if your mindfulness is yet still weaker, then stay with the point where you feel resistance or chasing, and let go right there. So either you let go at craving, at the most coarse of the aspects, or you let go at the point of feeling, or you let go at the point of contact. If you can manage to stay at the point of contact and let go right there again and again and again, you will rest very peacefully. Your life will be a very peaceful thing. If you're at the point of feeling, also very peaceful. It's just a feeling. We take your hands off. It's this training, we take our hands off. What is not simple about it is that we're so used to playing doctor and manager and CEO of life. We're so used at managing the 5 khandas. No, I shouldn't think like that. I should be holy all the time. I should be nice. I should be like this. Just let it go. Leave it be. Leave it alone. It will come and go all by itself. You don't have to express it. You don't have to suppress it. You leave it. That's what letting go is, and this is how letting go leads to peace. Are there any questions?
I have a comment about the fourth one.
Yes. Sankhara.
Sankhara. Sort of corollary that I've invented myself, which is because I've been in many countries and I've seen many cultures, and people in a certain culture, they're conditioned from the outside in.
Uh-huh.
You know, like, I am an Arab, I am a Muslim, I am
Yes.
the son of so and so, I am. So they're totally conditioned from the outside world, and their heart is conditioned from everything on the outside world.
Yes, yes.
Rather than, I imagine it like an onion. The living part of the onion is the filament, the green filament in the center, which
Yes.
is your heart.
Yes.
So you are the mid-center of the onion, and what the influences from the outside should have no effect on how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a Muslim and you live in Saudi Arabia and you want to be a Buddhist, then be a Buddhist.
Mm-hmm.
So I know it's
Mm-hmm.
nothing to do with religion, but it's just an example.
Mm-hmm.
Or a palm tree. You can imagine yourself as a palm tree as compared to a deciduous tree.
Mm-hmm.
A deciduous tree, the living part of the tree is on the outside, and it's dead in the center. It's just dead wood.
Mm-hmm.
Palm tree, the life of the palm is right in the center,
Mm-hmm.
and it grows from the inside out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah, it works both ways, and both ways are unavoidable in life. So there's no way to avoid being conditioned from the outside world, and there's no way to avoid, for example, all the language we have to talk right now. It comes from having learned it from other beings who had it inside and who taught it, brought it on. The way we wear clothes, all of this, the way we feel, we think, the stories we heard. So the fact we learned about palm trees or onions and the little green thing, all of that comes from people who showed and can explain, these kind of things. I never knew, for example, that the palm tree is dead wood on the inside and living on the outside. Now I've been conditioned by what you said. Now this conditioning is already in my mind. There's nothing that I can avoid. So it's already forming and shaping my future in a way by just being now part of a treasure of knowledge that is continuously growing. So this is something I cannot avoid. Also, that I am influencing other people with who I am in my own conditioning also is nothing that I can really avoid. The only thing that I can actually avoid is to allow harm to arise within and to flow out. I can also avoid to resist or fight whatever experience that comes in. So for example, if someone yells at me, points the finger at me and says, "Tobi, you suck." And I'm like, oh no, that really hurts, Then I'm going into in resistance towards the sound that has just been said. So I'm unable to see clearly because I'm resisting and fighting something. So here I'm having a choice actually. If there's mindfulness, I have the choice to open up to it, to allow it Therefore it doesn't collide with me, it doesn't stick to me, it arises and it passes. It's not really anything to worry about. Yeah. So in that way we always have inside and outside conditioning. It's like this, the world is like this. Knowing that, then we need to learn to let go, relax, release, and then share naturally. That's the funny thing, actually. There's nothing needs to do, there's nothing that needs to be done. But if your heart is happy and light, that's what you naturally share. Right? If you enter a room and you're really angry, then that's what you share, is your contribution, and it will influence other people, will condition other people. If someone really angry is standing in front of you, on fire, you feel the heat. The heat is coming in also. But it doesn't touch awareness, and that's the beauty. The heat is not touching awareness, it is not colliding with anything if you're abiding as awareness. If you're abiding as the conditioned one, then there will be resistance to the heat, and you will try to douse it, and you will try to get the person out of your life, and you will start to fight and resist and so forth. That's how wars arise. But if there's awareness, it doesn't collide with anything. There's place for every emotion in there, for everything. All right? Any question? Anything still unclear? No? Very good. All right, then. Thank you very much. Have a good day, good night, good weekend.